I mean, what do I do here? Serious question. I'm just going to be frank with you. I don't really think that I go back to talking about baseball. It's just weird. Just weird to do that on a day like this. Moore is making the face behind the glass, and I agree. I agree with your face. It is an amused face. It's weird. I mean, there was an All-Star game last night. This just blows that out of the water. And this is one of those days, too, where you come into work and you're sort of thinking of, okay, what the heck am I going to actually say about the All-Star game? My honest feelings about the All-Star game were, yeah, I'm just not as in love with baseball as I used to be. And I'm actually okay with it now. Like I don't need the sport to change for me. I think we've just gone in different directions. We've gone down different paths. But you see something like this and you're just like, man, this is one of the greatest Seahawks of all time. If not the. I mean, I know that growing up outside of Seattle, but watching the Legion of Boom rise from Houston and actually seeing, the game where they had that unbelievable comeback against the Houston Texans firsthand, where Matt Schaub throws an interception return for a touchdown and Richard Sherman's running down the left sideline and one of his shoes is gone. And earlier that year, too, being the year before that, I remember being at NRG Stadium watching Richard Sherman and Tom Brady go back and forth with one another after that dramatic comeback that Russell Wilson spearheaded in 2012. And that was, I think, really the first moment where the Seahawks arrived. But that was also where Richard Sherman arrived. That was where Richard Sherman all of a sudden became a household name because he was getting in Tom Brady's face and talking trash to him. And I know that the way that things ended here in Seattle has left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. And I think this is something that you have to sort of acknowledge when it comes to the end. The end is always ugly in the NFL. It is always ugly. Whether it's in New England, and I mean, you're seeing Cassius Marsh, who played for the Seahawks, of course, but talking about his time in New England. Whenever a guy's time with the team ends, it's bad. It's ugly. But there was a part of me that just felt that this is a guy, and again, this is before all these things that happened today, but this was a guy that was one of the most important figures in the history of Seattle sports. I mean, I didn't know much about the Seahawks other than they were in that Super Bowl against the Steelers and they got robbed because of the refs. I remember feeling that way in that game. I hate the Steelers. And Sean Alexander was a really good running back. But Richard Sherman just added a different level to the Seahawks. And I don't want to sound like a eulogy right here. It's just sad to see that you're going to only see bad details that come out as the rest of the morning unfolds and as the rest of the afternoon unfolds. It's just a bummer. I mean, this is a guy that I really was hoping that maybe there was a chance he would be back in Seattle. I would love to actually cover this guy firsthand. It's not to say that won't necessarily happen. I mean, the Seahawks, they have given many players second chances. We'll see if they do it with Josh Gordon. They obviously did it this offseason with Aldon Smith. But there's a selfish part of me that really wanted to see what the next chapter of Richard Sherman's life was going to be. That podcast that he was doing with Chris Collinsworth, it's a fascinating podcast. It's really been interesting to hear him kind of take that first foray into the world of media. And I really want to see him as I wanted to see him. I almost certainly feel like it's not going to happen now as the details continue to come out. They just seem to get worse and worse. But I wanted to see this guy as the color commentator for Monday Night Football. He's so frank, so honest, so opinionated. And that's probably not going to happen now. So a couple of things that we can put together here, and this does involve a little bit of speculation, but I'm going to let you draw the conclusion that I think is an obvious one from the three details that we are going to share with you right now. First off, 1 a.m, car wreck. Second off, hit and run, where you're fleeing the scene. Third, it seemed like it took a lot of effort to apprehend him after he tried to break into this home. So I'm not going to say it, but put all those three details together, and I just wonder why all of those things happened, but there's a pretty, I think, obvious answer. I'll let you come to it, but it's really sad to see all of this unfold the way that it is. If you're driving late at night and you get in a car accident, there's a common assumption about why that accident's going to take place, and if you leave the car, I mean, you can, I think, draw even more conclusions from that. And then to get to a point where you're all of a sudden feeling the need to, I don't know, run, break into a home. Doesn't sound like he was of right mind, at least based off of all the allegations that we have. from the police report. And I mean, they even had to bring a dog in. I feel like Richard Sherman is a very intelligent individual. And I don't think that a lot of the things that we're reading about in this report are things that would have happened if he was of sound mind in this situation. That's not an excuse, by the way. I mean, I think we all sometimes need reminders about making sure that we are in control of our actions. And there are things that we all can do that, unfortunately, cause us to stray from that. Things that we do recreationally, things that we just feel like, hey, like this is just an everyday occurrence. I'm just kicking back, I'm relaxing, et cetera, et cetera. But if you are not careful, your judgment obviously gets very cloudy. And you see how a situation like this can escalate to the point where Sherman is in jail right now on burglary, domestic violence charges.